the first time that he actually abused me was when we were still like partying and whatever. We went to my friend's place and we were like really drunk. So my friend had a boyfriend and like we were all very close. It was a friend group. And we were making jokes and laughing. So on the way back home, like he gave me a backhand and he pulled my hair. And then he said that I was acting like a yes, I loved him. There was like this cognitive dissonance, like should I leave? Should I stay? Should I leave? Should I stay? Because maybe he'll change. Maybe he was just drunk. Maybe he was jealous. All the maybes. And when people see him spoiling me, they always think like, oh, she's so blessed. She has such a wonderful husband. He spoils her. He's always buying stuff for her, not knowing that every time that I'm being spoiled is a result of the beating the night before. We moved a lot from places because he would always beat me up everywhere we stayed, and the beatings got worse.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
I was telling you behind the scenes that you came very prepared.
I'm always prepared, the aim of the game is always be camera ready because you can be photographed at any time on the street. Wherever you go, you're a brand ambassador, so you have to be prepared at all times.
Please tell me about yourself. Who are you and where are you from?
I'm Caroline Naidu, and I'm actually from Durban. I grew up in Durban, but I was born in Kimberley, and I moved to Johannesburg in 2013. I've been a very big corporate girl, from banking to legal
Wow.
to aviation.
Wow.
And a lot of the time when I say aviation, people just narrow it down to either a pilot or an air hostess. And no, that wasn't the case for me. So I worked for the civil aviation. I've got 8 years of aviation experience under my belt. And in that time, I was very passionate about the media space. So I used to do my own podcast. I was a magazine editor,
Wow.
a radio host for 1912 FM, and I was a guest on a lot of like radio shows and stuff like that. And I left the 9 to 5 in 2023, and I've been doing the media thing ever since.
Yeah. Was it not difficult for you to live the 9 to 5?
Mm, Look, when I was at the civil aviation, we had hybrid working conditions. So I always had the liberty to be free and, balance everything. So when I did leave the 9 to 5, it was solely to pursue, this dream, well, as the Americans would say, the American dream. And
Yes.
it's not for the faint-hearted. It's not for the faint-hearted, We got to keep pushing and you got to stay focused. And it's solely for the passion. So if you're chasing the money, it's short-lived. But if it's for the passion, then, you always have that zeal to keep going.
Let's go back a little bit. You spoke about you growing up in Durban. How was it like growing up that side?
So my experience of Durban as a child, we had great childhood memories. Like you say, the beach, family, friends, even our neighbors, they were like family. And I grew up in a place called Chatsworth,
Okay.
which is a village, according to Google.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it was great, but things have changed since then, Job. I mean, Durban is very quiet now. A lot of people moved away, and that family vibe or that warm atmosphere, I feel like it's cold.
Okay.
So I haven't been to Durban in years, ever since I moved up to Joburg. I think I've only been there like twice or 3 times. But, you have that like pull. There's something there, or you have to go back home, or you call a place home. And I don't have that pull anymore. And I feel like home is a person rather than a place.
Coming to Johannesburg, what brought you this side?
So I've always been a very optimistic person. And I always believe that Joburg is the place to make money and, do business and get a good job. Because,
Joburg dream.
yeah, because Durban is very limited. And the culture or the community that I grew up in, they kind of put you in a box. Like, go to school, finish school, get your degree, get a car, buy a house, get married, and that's the end of it. So for me, their ceiling is my floor. And there was just something about Joburg that called me, like from the time I was 15 years old. And The rest is history, because they say if you make it in Joburg, you can make it anywhere.
Wow. And that's true. That's true. Because Joburg, it's a hectic place.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that are happening here. Things are moving at a high pace.
Very fast paced, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You spoke about, when you're in Devon, parents, they require you to get married, get a degree. I mean, like you were in the corporate space, I mean, you had a successful career and everything was fine. But coming to marriage, was that part of your plan?
I wouldn't say it was part of my plan per se, but it is a taboo to be with someone, and if you fall pregnant, not to marry the person. Like, you would be judged heavily, especially from the community I come from.
Yeah.
And at the time, I felt like, it was the decent thing to do.
Yeah.
But if I had a choice, I would most probably still be very much single now, because I never dated anyone from school. I just never saw that as my goals. But I was also very selective, because the way I grew up, my dad was very strict, and my brother and my brother-in-law, and they always put this thing in your head like, oh, if you have a boyfriend, you must pack your stuff and leave. Or if you want to live that life, then, don't come back. So I always had like, I think maybe it was a fear. And I always thought that if you have a boyfriend and if you, do the deed, then immediately you fall pregnant. So lack of knowledge. So I was very scared of those things. And it's not to say I didn't date in high school. That's where all my traumas started. I just never saw the need to date anyone from high school. Like, I never looked at a guy and thought, oh, he's cute, maybe we'll get married one day, Because as a teenager, you have those castles that you build in the air, like, happily ever after type of thing. And for me, I wasn't looking for that type of thing. And I just wanted to have fun with my friends and, be with family.
Yeah.
But my dad passed away when I was 14. So, that really took a huge toll on me, because I was very close to my dad. And that's when, I started spiraling and exploring the wrong things. And, that's what led to me meeting my then partner.
Was it so difficult for you to let go when you lost your dad?
Yeah, because so I grew up in a broken home. My mom left when I was 11. So my dad was like my everything. And when he passed away, like, I started spiraling, drinking alcohol, smoking weed, and, partying. Like, I was on a path of destruction. And on that path of destruction is where I met my partner, who turned out to be an abuser. And that was a 13-year sentence of hell.
How did you meet your partner?
So I was actually at a club. I know it's surprising, because people that know me now, they know that, this is a church girl, and, if she was Eve, she was going to bash the snake over its head type of persona. But I actually met him in a club. I was 14, turning 15 in like 3 days.
Sure, you were young, eh?
And like, I just went to the club to have fun and drink my sorrows away, because I was still very much bleeding from the death of my dad. And there's this person who I thought was old at the time, because he had a beard. And like I was very selective. Like, if I look at a guy, I'm like, meh,
Pass.
type of thing.
Yeah.
But also the other thing is, when a man wants a woman, like, it's a hard pursuit type of thing. So he was 23 at the time, and I was, turning 15. And now that I think about it, and I have 2 girls of my own, my oldest, she's 18. And if I think back 3 years ago, and just picturing her with the 23-year-old man, it makes me sick to my stomach. Like, what was I thinking? Or
Sure.
what was he thinking? Yeah.
Because now that you think about it, you're like, what were we doing actually?
Yeah, it's like an epiphany, and it hits you like a ton of bricks, because morally, it's not correct. And look, I was 15. If my daughter had to come to me at 15 and talk about love, I would tell her, like, what do you know about love? Sit down. So, him being an adult, being 23 years old, like, you should have felt some type of way being with a 15-year-old. And no matter how nicely you try to package it, that's pedophile behavior.
Did you feel like you wished you could have had somebody to guide you to say you're not supposed to be?
100%,
Yeah.
100%. I mean, obviously, if my dad was around, um, that was going to be a heck no. And I would probably not have been in the club at 15. Um, but yeah, it is important to have strong community as a young girl, and as somebody who's exposed to things they shouldn't be at that age, because you're still naive, you're still gullible, and you think you know it all, but you actually don't know shit. So yeah.
What makes a 15-year-old to be in a relationship with a 23-year-old? I can't even imagine it.
So look, in the beginning, I didn't really like this guy, but hence I'm saying, like, for him it was like a hard pursuit, like he wanted me. And then eventually, like, the obsession was mutual from both ends. Like, that you can't live without each other. And I was suicidal. Like, before I met him,
Sure.
I tried to commit suicide. I took an overdose and was rushed to the hospital. So I was also suicidal, when I met him. So it was that type of obsession, like, you're ride or die. And obviously his parents didn't approve of it because, I mean, like you're saying, what is a 23-year-old doing with a 15-year-old or
Yeah.
vice versa?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how we came to Joburg. When I was 15, we actually eloped to Joburg.
Let's move forward. Your boyfriend, he was 23, you were 15 years old. I mean, how was the relationship like? You guys were going out, you guys met at a club. Did you
Yeah.
continue to party? Or maybe the relationship changed. Now he's trying to pull you into maturity while you're 15 years old.
Look, I used to dress provocatively at the time because when my dad was alive, I wasn't allowed to wear short skirts or like hoop earrings or, anything of that kind. So when my dad passed, I took on this new persona. Like, I want to see what this life is about. So I used to dress provocatively. And as time went on, this partner, it was little things that started building up. Like, you're not allowed to wear this, you're not allowed to go there, you're not allowed to join this person. And I felt very restricted. Like, now I'm being watered down from who I am, and almost like I'm walking on eggshells. So the relationship did change drastically, yes.
Were you guys staying together?
In the beginning, no.
Okay.
Like, he would come over like in the week, or stay over on the weekends. But eventually, he got kicked out from his parents' place, so he came and lived with me. Because when my dad passed away, he left everything for me, like the house, his car, the money, whatever. But I was still fairly young, and obviously I couldn't like manage my whole life because he had an executor. But being that young, people do tend to take advantage of you because you don't know anything about life. So yeah, he lived with me eventually, and now it's like I'm a 15-year-old and I have a husband.
So just before he moved in with you, you were staying by yourself?
So my mom lived with me.
Okay.
So she came back when my dad passed.
Okay.
But my mom, being the free-spirited person that she was, she lived her own life. Like, she wanted to party and be forever young. So again, there was no guidance. So, him being a smart person saw this, and pounced on the opportunity, if I could say.
Your dad was a businessman, eh?
No, he wasn't a businessman.
Okay.
No. So he was a tradesman, and he also did a bit of plumbing on the side. He had his own. Well, had his own business, but I wouldn't say he was a businessman. Like, he wasn't an entrepreneur,
Okay.
but he did have his own business. Yes.
Because I'm asking myself, I mean, like, you're a 15-year-old, your mom is there, but she's just living her life. I'm asking myself, why can't she just pay attention to you? Until
Yeah.
whereby the boyfriend now comes in and stays with you. I mean,
So, like, I mean, obviously my mom was against it. And she used to always say that, she's going to report him to the cops for statutory rape and whatever. So whenever she would say things like that, I'm like, well, then I'll just kill myself because you're not going to tell me what to do. And then that's when we eloped to Joburg. But again, from being a child that was, safely kept to being this teen rebel that's out of control. It was a huge transition. Even my family, they disowned me because, I said a lot of hurtful things to people after my dad's passing, and, a lot of things changed. And the siblings that I had from my dad, they were my half siblings and much older than me. And I just felt like everybody just wanted to control me, and I didn't want to be controlled in
Okay.
any way.
Yeah, and also you are young, you're a teenager, so nobody can tell you anything.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you came to Joburg?
And then we had to go back because we came with my friend and her boyfriend as well. My friend was like 2 years older than me,
Yeah,
fairly young, and she was pregnant at the time.
yeah.
And then when her mom caught wind of this, she's like, "You better get rid of that child and come back to Durban before I come for you, blah, blah, blah." So I was very sad. I didn't want to come back. And I just always wanted to commit suicide. Like, when things don't go my way, I'm ending it. So we ended up going back to Durban. And we lived there for a few more years. And then when I was 17, I ended up falling pregnant. But if we can just go back a little bit, I did fall pregnant at some point when I was 15, late in the year when I was 15. And I was asked to abort that baby because I would have had that child when I was 16. And after the abortion, I felt like, this person, really doesn't care about me, because why would you kill an innocent life? Like, why would you want me to do that? I mean, like, him being an adult and being more experienced in, sexual activities or whatever you might call it, should have, been more precautious instead of trying to put it on me. So I just went back to partying, but he didn't like that very much. So he came right back. And I feel like that was so pointless, because only to have a child a year later. So,
After the abortion.
yeah, like, what was the point of that?
Yeah. So he put it on you
Yeah, he put it on me to say that I trapped him
with the baby.
with a baby. Like, my whole future is ruined. Or I can't say ruined, but my whole future is at jeopardy.
Yeah.
You
Because
a
of
grown ass
you.
man. You can
Yeah.
literally walk away or go back to your job or whatever it is. But I'm left here with the baby at this young age. And yes, people say it takes two to tango. But as an adult and as somebody who stands firmly against GBV, I don't think it's that. Like, women are very much coerced into certain things. Or not only women, men as well, especially when you're young. And when you're young, that is the time you're still exploring and trying to find yourself. You don't know who you are yet. And it's very easy for somebody who's older than you to come in and see that as an opportunity, and you're gullible, you're naive. And without strong community and support, it's very easy to fall prey to certain situations. Shortly after that, I fell pregnant again. So when, like, I found out I was pregnant, I mean, obviously you would vomit and get sick and whatever. And then we went to the doctor. And then when we got back home, I'm like, you know what, I can't do this. Because to me, morally, I felt like, I'm taking a life. And he slapped me.
What?
Yeah, he slapped me. And then, like, after that, he apologized. And yeah, we went to the doctor under his brother's name on his dad's medical aid to get these pills to get rid of this child. And you know when I sit and think about my life and I reflect, I'm like, how evil must somebody be to do these things? Like, and mind you, he had a child prior to that, like before me, from another lady who he claimed he was never in a relationship with. So when you're young, you don't see those things, you don't think about things, you just think, okay, he loves me and now we're together. But when you actually think about it, that was a red flag, because that in itself should have been a pattern I should have picked up from.
But you are not aware of that because you were young.
Correct.
The only thing that you pay attention to is that this person loves me and we are in a relationship
Yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah.
And
But
it was
this,
my first relationship.
imagine.
So, like, what do I compare it back to? Like, there's no side by side
Yeah,
comparison, you know?
that's literally like your first lessons in life
Yes,
in a
yes.
relationship.
Yeah.
So the second time when you fell pregnant, how did he receive that? Did he not try to manipulate you to doing an abortion again?
Um, I can't remember if he asked me to do another abortion,
Mm.
but I know that I was adamant that hell no, after the first experience, and it was a very painful experience, and I could have died, you know. I'm not going to do it. So whether he decides to stay or leave, I don't care because this is my body, and I was abused a lot. So the first time that he actually abused me was when we were still like partying and whatever. We went to my friend's place and we were like really drunk. So my friend had a boyfriend and like we were all very close. It was a friend group. And like, you know, we were making jokes and laughing. So on the way back home, like he gave me a backhand and he pulled my hair. And then he said that I was acting like a bitch. Excuse my French. I don't
That's
prefer
okay. Yeah, yeah.
using you know, profanity, but to put it in his exact words. And I was shocked because I've never experienced that. My dad never ever hit me. So I just was really shocked. And then we were going back home and he was like, should I come back to your place or should I go home? And I felt like that was more like a test and a threat. Like if I said go home, I was gonna get beaten up even worse. So I just said you can come back home. But in my mind, I'm like, once he leaves the next day, like this dude is never gonna hear from me again. So in that moment, in as much as I was young and stupid, I mean, I could tell that I was in some
Yeah,
sort of danger here.
yeah.
And when he left the next day, I I was still like thinking about the events that took place because it was fairly new to me.
Mm.
Yeah.
The way that he said it, his tone, should I come to
Mm,
your house or should I
yeah.
go home? It was more like a threat.
Correct. And I knew if I gave the wrong answer, like you just know, because there's this distinct look in a person's eyes when they've switched
Yes.
from someone you know to that version that's abusive.
Were you not confused though with seeing this person that claimed that they love you and all of a sudden they becoming a monster day by day?
I was very confused. I was also scared because, you know, people they die. They die from abuse every day. And in that moment, it wasn't as bad as it got later on. But I definitely knew that, you know what, I was in some kind of danger here. And yes, I loved him. There was like this cognitive dissonance like, should I leave? Should I stay? Should I leave? Should I stay? Because maybe he'll change. Maybe he was just drunk. Maybe he was jealous. You know, all the maybes. And you try to justify the action, but there is no justification.
You know, I found out that women struggle to expose an abusive relationship. Like
100%.
the first time when a guy hits you, whether it's your husband or boyfriend, they struggle to expose it, tell somebody
Mm,
to say, hey, you know what, this is what happened
yeah,
last night. Did you not struggle to tell maybe your friend or your mom about the slap?
100%. I don't think I told anyone. Like, I kept a lot of incidents to myself because even if I tell someone, the only thing they would tell you is leave. And you know that you're not ready to leave. You know you're going nowhere. And there was incidents I couldn't hide because there was blue marks and bite marks and all kinds of scars, and like neighbors would hear the commotion, like, and I would just lie, you know, or cover it up.
Just to protect him.
Yeah, to protect this relationship, this perfect relationship that we've got going on.
What's the psychology behind loving somebody who beats you? How do you love such a person? Like I'm just trying to put myself in women's shoes to say how do you actually love a person that beats you? Like you guys went out for dinner yesterday and something happened. Maybe the waiter looked at you somehow and he felt a little bit jealous. You got home, he slapped you, And then the following day, you decide that I'm not going to tell anybody, I'm not going to report this because I love this person.
Yeah. So I think the psychology behind that, in my opinion, is because I'm a good person, I would try and find the good in him.
Mm.
Even though there isn't. Like, somebody who beats another human being is pure evil because you don't care about that person. You don't feel anything when you're beating them. So I would always think, there's some good, and I would think about the good things that he's done
Yeah.
and try and make that override the abuse. When in actual fact, those good things that he has done was a form of manipulation so that I don't leave.
So the negative thoughts of the things that he has committed, you try to erase them with the nice things that he
Yeah.
has done.
Yeah.
He bought me flowers.
Correct.
He
Yeah.
bought me a chocolate. Yeah, he took me to
He
the
said
salon.
sorry,
He said sorry. So we okay.
Yeah, yeah.
It's nothing. That's what makes you to say, what, I think we're fine. We'll be fine. We'll be okay.
And now that you mention flowers, I hate peach roses because whenever like he would beat me up, like really bad beatings, he would bring home specifically peach roses. And he even grew like 2 rose bushes for me at home, but those were like pink and red roses. So for the most part of it, I used to really hate roses, and more specifically peach roses, because there's certain scents and there's certain things that you, even though you kind of like erase those memories, there's certain things that always links back to certain incidents.
Justify family. If you enjoy sports predictions and online gaming entertainment, then you should check out EasyBet, a licensed South African betting and gaming platform. EasyBet offers a 150% first deposit bonus up to 1,500 rands for new users. You'll also find competitive soccer odds, plus wide variety of entertainment options including slots, crash games, and live dealer games. New users can also receive a $50 sign-up bonus with no deposit required. To get started, sign up today and use the promo code CAST50 to claim your $50 welcome bonus. I think the biggest myth that men have in their minds is thinking that, oh, snap, I made a mistake. I did slap her last night. If I buy flowers, maybe that may cover the wound. If I give her like $1,000 or
Yeah.
$5,000, that may cover the wound. And some men, they go crazy above and go buy a car.
Yeah.
Go buy
yeah.
the latest iPhone, baby, I'm sorry. And they think that that's going to cover the wound. But I don't think there's anything that would really, really cover the wound. It's like you're putting a second-hand, tire. At some point, it's going to expose you. So I think men, they think in their minds that no, the flowers,
Yeah.
because he kept on doing it multiple times, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he felt like, nah, he's just covering up the pain that he has brought to you.
Yeah, and funny enough, when you mentioned that, whenever he would beat me up, in summer, I would wear a long sleeve to cover those marks. That's like I'm dressed in blue marks. And every memory of him taking me out to splurge on me and spoil me is linked to me being covered in marks. And at that time, I never used to use makeup. So a lot of the time, certain parts of my face was exposed with marks. And when people see him spoiling me, they always think like, oh, she's so blessed. She has such a wonderful husband. He spoils her. He's always buying stuff for her, not knowing that every time that I'm being spoiled is a result of the beating the night before, or, the day before.
When was the point whereby you felt like, okay, this is actually getting out of hand?
So I would say after I had my first daughter, because things started getting so bad, not just in terms of the abuse, in terms of like the situation at home. Because remember, after my dad's passing, I was left with this house. Like, I don't know how to pay bills because that was my dad's job. And the attorney at the time, who was the executive of the estate, he started like swindling money. and not paying utilities, and things escalated to a point where the municipality now had to come and cut off our electricity. So I had nowhere to go. And I ended up going to a friend's place while I was pregnant. And then I remember my mom's friend, growing up, being a child, that was my mom's friend. She was a teacher. So, there was obviously social workers involved and all of that because I was still underage. And now my mom, I think at some point my mom did report the matter, but very vaguely remembering that part. And he was working, and he was always in the logistics field. So we just parted ways. Like, I went to my mom's friend. I didn't go to my mom because at some point she moved out when this boyfriend at the time moved in. And he went to his job. And then eventually his boss called his parents to say, like, hey, what's going on? Like, why is your son not going home? Not knowing that he doesn't live there. I think that was the next of kin on his forms, or I don't know.
Yeah.
But I ended up going to a women's shelter for pregnant women. But the conditions of being there was, once you have the baby, you have to leave. So now, at that point, I went to the shelter, and there was like zero communication, like no contact between us. So I kind of did feel abandoned. But then, according to him, he had nowhere to go. He had no choice. But then once he went back home to his parents, he should have reached out and, made contact. So
Yeah.
I kind of felt abandoned. And I used to cry a lot and phone his cousin, the one that we came to in Joburg, phone her a lot and cry a lot. And I think she, spoke to him or whatever. So, but like in his mind, me doing that was me crying for him to be in my life. No, I was crying because of the situation. Like 5 minutes ago, you loved me, and now I'm pregnant in a woman's shelter, and now you home. Like nothing happened.
That's crazy. So you crying, he's thinking that
Oh,
she
she
wants
can't
me
live
back.
without me.
Yeah.
At that point, okay, so because I grew up in a broken home, I never wanted
Yeah.
that for my kid, right? If I'm being honest. But me crying was not so much for him, because at that point, all the times before that, sure, I would cry for him. I want to commit suicide and I'm reckless. But in that moment, my emotions changed, because now my emotions is towards my child. I became a woman in pregnancy. And I just wanted the best for the child at the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, that at that point, it was enough for me, because I was being abused. But now there's another life in the picture. So that's when my feelings started changing. And after the baby was born, the sisters from the shelter, because it was a Catholic women's shelter in Bluff in Durban, contacted him. And he came 3 days later with his family, and they bought stuff. And the baby was really cute. She looked a lot like him and his mom. And then, yeah, I mean, a few days later, they came and fetched us, and we went to his dad's place. And now it's like we're playing family, like not addressing what just happened in the last couple of months.
Yeah.
Not like nothing, you just continue, like life just goes on. But his dad was very strict and very decent family. So he said, he's only giving us a certain amount of time until, we got to find our own place. And then he made all kinds of sweet promises, like, you'll study and you'll do this and you'll do that. But he really never wanted me to be anything without him. It's almost like he needed me fully dependent on him. Yeah.
So he sort of didn't want you to be independent without him. So wherever where you go, whether you get success, he must be a part of it.
He must be the one to get the credit, or it's like, without me you're nothing type of thing. His dad was very supportive. I remember when I needed to go for interviews.
Yeah.
At the time, I used to take taxis, and his dad would help me with bus fares, and I would sneak to interviews because this man would beat me up. He would accuse me that I'm cheating on him, like if I left the house. And his dad understood, that she's a young girl and she needed to work. She needed her independence.
Yeah, yeah.
And at 18, I got my first job. I had to leave my baby with his mom. And it wasn't an easy road because, you're getting beaten up every other day, you're going to work. And when I needed to work alternative Saturdays, I would get beaten up when I come back because now apparently I'm not going to work. I'm going to meet a guy. And I'm like, that's the only thing that he thinks about is that I'm cheating on him, is that I'm with someone else. So it wasn't easy. His parents never condoned his behavior. They would, call him to order.
That's it.
And his dad was very strict.
Yeah.
At some point when we were living there, he left the Friday night and he just pitched up the Sunday evening. Without saying a word, he just came upstairs to the bedroom and I think my mom-in-law had the baby at the time. And he just took his belt off and started hitting me with the buckle of the belt.
Are you serious?
And yeah, I think that was the breaking point for his dad. So his dad and his brother, they put him outside and they beat him up, and the neighbors came and they beat him up. So I was really blessed to have in-laws that didn't stand for his behavior. Because sometimes when you're in these abusive relationships, the family are the enablers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So in my case, I was blessed to have a father-in-law that was like a father. So I left many times when I was living there at his parents' place. I left many times. And there was a time when I did leave and he could see that I was done. I would go to my sister's place and he would find me. Like at 3 a.m., he would just show up at my sister's place and buy everyone stuff, to sweeten them up to send me back home only to get beaten up. But this time I stood my ground. And 3 days later, he suddenly found a place, an apartment that we could move into. But things started getting worse when we were alone because now there's no father-in-law that I can call to come and save me. And where we were living at the time, the landlord had 2 sons, and the one that was young, he really liked my baby because she's cute. I mean, he would always stand at the gate and talk to the child and whatever. But according to this abuser, now I'm having an affair with that young boy. So it was like everybody, you know.
What's wrong with them?
It's like you hit it on the nail because that is not normal behavior.
Yeah.
It's absolutely not normal behavior. And as time went on, we moved a lot from places because he would always beat me up everywhere we stayed, and the beatings got worse. And he felt like if he has more kids with me, it would further trap me. So while we were living there, 2 years later, I fell pregnant with my son. And for me, one child was enough because at some point, I stopped loving this man. I was just with him because he would hunt me every time I tried to leave. It got so bad, he would stalk me, hunt me, harass me. He would just not take no for an answer. And when I had my son, we then officially came up to Joburg when he was 2 years old. And when we came to Joburg, now it's worse. The beatings are worse because now I'm exposed. So a lot of the jobs that I had, I started off in paralegal and then legal. So a lot of those jobs, it's just your boss that's the man, and then the rest is all women. And it's very small working environments. But now when I came to Joburg, I'm stepping into big corporates like Investec, and there's 500 people and a lot of guys. So now this man is losing his mind. And the beating started getting more aggressive. And a lot of the times I didn't have a phone. Imagine in this modern time. A lot of the times I didn't have a phone because my phones would get stolen or he would break them. And when I didn't have a phone, I was almost kind of relieved. But then it was a big issue as well because now he can't reach me. So you just never know. Nothing you do is right.
Yeah.
You're always constantly on eggshells. And funny enough, when I was working at Investec, I would lie a lot about the beatings, like how I got hurt or I fell. For somebody who doesn't drink alcohol, I'm falling a lot. And there was a friend of mine. She would just like pull me aside and cover me up with makeup, and it's not even my shade. She's like, I think maybe a skin tone darker, but just to cover up,
Yeah. Yeah.
to protect my integrity. And one day, my manager,
Yeah.
she asked me, she's like, are you wearing makeup? And then I'm like, yes, I am. I have a wedding this weekend, so I'm just trying on different shades. And like the stuff that I would come up with to protect him was insane.
That is crazy, hey?
Yeah.
Was he not on drugs, perhaps?
Well, he is on weed, but I don't know if he was on any other stuff.
I think he was.
Most probably because, also, according to me, when that switch happens, it's very demonic and dark. Like the eyes, gets dilated, and it's like you're looking right into the eyes of the devil. And I feel like a lot of women can relate to what I'm saying because that switch is so distinctive. It kind of like, when I think about it, it kind of like sends chills down my spine because, um,
Is that your phone?
yeah, it is.
I think they're calling you now, no stress.
Sorry, I
No, no,
thought I
no,
put
no,
it
no, no
on.
stress, no stress.
Speak of the devil. I will put it on
That's him calling you.
silent. Yeah, it's like maybe he has like monitoring spirits watching.
Oh my word.
Well, unfortunately, we still have to be in contact because of our kids.
Yeah,
Let me just put it on silent.
this is crazy. While we're speaking about him, he's calling.
You see
This
the
is
thing I'm talking
crazy.
about.
Yeah,
If you didn't know, you would think this girl is lying.
yeah.
Can I maybe just give you can keep it
Jeez,
just
man.
okay. We'll pick up from
Yeah, you were talking about the switch in character.
yeah,
When
the
he
eyes.
starts beating you, you look into his eyes. It's like there's this monster that has taken over him,
Yeah.
and you call it darkness.
Yeah, it's very dark. Like it's very hard to explain. But when you do encounter it, you know that this is not a person, this is an entity. And very young in my life, even growing up as a child, my dad was Hindu and my mom was Christian.
Yeah.
But there was always this pull to go to church and wanting to know about Jesus and the Holy Spirit. And like I would talk to God and hear his voice as a child, because you're still pure. And now that I think about it, I was not crazy because it's the Holy Spirit. As you get older, and have knowledge, you realize things later on. So at some point, I found solace in going to church and fasting and praying. And there was a time when I looked at him and he was in that like shape shifting character. And I just started praying and calling out to Jesus and pleading the blood of Jesus. And it actually calmed him down. So, yeah.
But was that clear to you that
That was, an indication that I was
yeah.
not crazy and this is an evil spirit that's on this man because normal people don't behave like this.
this was more than just a physical fight? It was more
Yeah,
of a-
it was kind of like spiritual, I was like, now I'm fighting demons. And a marriage is a covenant. So remember, you're exchanging everything. So now, obviously, if he is doing the things that pleases the devil and I'm on the total opposite, I'm the one that's going to be attacked, not him, because he's already doing the devil's work. So for me, at some point, I'm like, no, this is not normal behavior, and this is very demonic because a normal person does not behave the way he behaves. And I would pray a lot. And how I ended up leaving him. Well, let's go back a bit. So after my son and working in the big corporate, I then landed a job in aviation. So now I would leave every chance I got. Like every year, I would leave this man. Every chance I got, I would leave. And when we came to Joburg, the leaving was like further apart now. like from
Yeah.
every month, maybe every 6 months, or once a year, or once in 2 years. Not to trick him, but like I needed to focus. Like I'm leaving and going to family, and then, you know, it doesn't work out because now he knows where to find me and I don't have stability. And, if he takes me to court, I'll lose my kids. So there was just
Yeah.
a lot happening. And as I started getting more mature, I realized, I can't just leave. I need to have a plan. And then that's when baby number 3 came along. And I
That's
was
his
done.
b-
I
that's
was
his
done
baby.
with 2 kids. Not even like I just wanted one kid. Now we're on baby number 3.
That's his baby.
Yeah. I I mean, he's my husband, so it has to be his baby. First boyfriend, husband, father of my kids. And I felt that was like the final nail to like trap me. Like, this woman, where's she gonna go? In this economy, like, she needs me. Even though she has a job, she needs me. Now she can't go anywhere. And that was the miracle baby. Like, I love all my kids. They all have different roles in my life.
Yeah.
And at that time now, I planned, and I planned really well to leave him. But I fasted. I fasted for 40 days, and the last 3 days was an Esther fast. And on the last day, when he walked into the house, he looked at me in those devilish eyes, and he's like, "Go and effing eat," you know? And that was such a weird thing to say, because you just walked in, you don't greet, and you tell me to go and effing eat. And to me, in my heart, I knew that was victory, because it was not him that was speaking, it was those demons inside of him that saw the victory. And my prayer point was, like God opened the Red Sea for the Israelites, He's going to do it for my kids and I. And it wasn't easy. I had to endure. And the Bible says, endure until the end. And I did. And God, He came through. He made a way for us. I left, moved into an estate, and He found me, because I only later on found out that He was tracking me. He was tracking me, like, because he's in logistics, he has systems that track the drivers. So my whole life he was tracking me. And to find that out at such a later stage, and I thank God that, I was not somebody who cheats and does
Yeah.
things. I
Yeah.
was always at work or home, and he would drop me off at work, but I must still call him from inside the office to let him know I'm inside the office. It was very crazy, because I felt like even prison, I would have had more freedom than with him. And people think when you leave an abusive relationship, you're free. But that's actually when everything starts. You need to unpack so many things. You always look over your shoulder.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
paranoid. You start painting everyone with the same brush. And at some point, you are kind of bleeding out a lot, because
Yeah.
people deal with trauma differently. And for me, I would say that I'm a very strong person. But if somebody had to endure what I did, they would most probably be dead or in a psychological hospital, because the incidents that took place during the time of the abuse was, okay, he hit me with the belt buckle. um he came to hit me with this metal spoon across my face, and then I just like picked my hand up to like block my face. And then the next thing, there's blood all over the floor, and I'm like trying to see where it's coming from, but it was my wrist that was slit. And when I was pregnant with my first daughter, he kicked me on my face, and I had a concussion. And I passed out. I didn't know my name. I didn't know my age. I didn't know anything that was going on. And like, there's so many incidents, like I've got so many scars on my body that will tell its own tales. He bust my head the one time. And he even told me to get into a freezer at one point. So to me, apart from it being really psychological, it's demonic, because like, if you think about it, it's attempted murder, all these incidents, because no normal person does these things. And according to him, till this very day, he says he's done nothing, even though there's incidents where, there's pictures of the abuse and witnesses, and even my own kids, the older two, witnessed it. According to him, he has done nothing. So What more can I say?
How are things now? Because he just gave you a call now. I
Um,
was actually shocked. I didn't expect that.
so for the most part of it, he was blocked. But in January this year, he decided to take my kids, two of my kids. And, the ongoing litigation is tiring because for the last 7 years, I've been trying to get a divorce. He doesn't sign the divorce papers. I try to immigrate. He doesn't sign the kids' passports. It's just still some sort of control. Um, Emotionally, not so much, but it does take a toll on a person because
Yeah.
now I'm trying to progress with my life. He's moved on. He's got someone else. He's got two kids. And the fact that I'm unbothered about it bothers him. Um,
Mm.
Look, I just try to be civil now for the sake of my kids. But if I had a choice, I would never speak to this person again because there's really no need to. Like, he's not somebody you can sit and have a conversation with. It's his way or no way. And sometimes, you cannot use certain tactics. You can't, like with kids, you got to show them love, especially my kids, after everything they've witnessed. You got to show them love. You've got to parent them differently. There's different parenting styles. It's not black and white, either or. At some point, you're going to have to find ways to, make up for the things that they had to go through as a parent. And we don't agree on a lot of things. It's very difficult to co parent.
So you've been trying to get a divorce for the past 7 years, even now.
Yeah, and the irony is he didn't sign because on the divorce clause, there's a part where it says, if I'm taking my kids on vacation, he's liable for half.
He must pay half.
Yeah, and I'm like, if I'm taking my kids on vacation, why would I ask you to pay half? And that was the reasoning as to why he's not signing the divorce. That that could have been easily amended. And he goes around telling everyone that I'm the one that's holding up the divorce. And I have proof in writing from himself saying that he contested the divorce. And there's a lot of stories, and narratives that's out there
Yeah.
about me, which I have no intention of clearing up because whatever people want to draw from what he's saying, it's on them. But there are people who know the truth. Like, I worked for law firms. My boss, can attest because the one time there was a hostage situation where he kept me hostage. He didn't want me to go to work. And my boss called and he answered. And my boss wants to know, like, where is Caroline? And he's like, no, she took the baby to the clinic. But my boss can hear my son crying faintly in the background. And being the excellent attorney that he is, he just sent his people to my place and he also came over and they found me at home. But before that, they sent some of the work colleagues to the clinic to go and check. And I think why people were very concerned is because they witnessed the bruises. And I did lock him up at some point. I got a protection order. I locked him up,
Yeah.
thinking that would keep him away or keep him in line.
Yeah.
But at some point, they're not even afraid of the law. They don't care, if you're going to lock them up. In the time that you call the cops, they could have already killed you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. And, now that I'm stronger and older, there's a lot of things that I wish I did differently. Well, the first thing would be to listen to your elders because they know what they're talking about. They're not trying to control you. They're just trying to make you aware of the dangers that's out there. And I feel like as women, we we need to have our own identities because you find women whenever they're in a relationship. Let's say, for example, you like cooking and baking, and now you meet a guy and he likes sports and cars. You take on that identity, and now suddenly, oh, you like sports and cars.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like as a woman, we need to have our own identity, our own lives, our own independence, our own finance. because you just never know. People will promise you sweet nothings, and by the time you realize it, it's always too late. And this goes for guys as well, because there's always this thing of guys saying, oh, well, women abuse us too. 100%. We're not disputing that. But 9 out of 10 times, the majority is woman that's overpowered and coerced and abused. And I think it's so important to have your own identity so that you can identify certain things and you can set strong boundaries and say, no, this is not what I'm going to tolerate.
I'm scared, man. I'm scared on your behalf because this man can track you down if he wants to. I mean, what happens if you now find new love? I don't know if you have already, but what happens then? Is he not gonna,
I actually,
abuse you?
so when I left him in 2019,
Yeah.
I stayed single for 2 years. And he would always try to come back. Come back where? Like, we done. You have someone else. You have a kid with someone else. I'm done. Whether you moved on or not, regardless, I was done. Because at some point, you have to choose better for yourself. And I did meet someone, and he was like the third party in the relationship. At first, he would call the guy and like exchange, profanity and whatever. And then he started using psychological tactics, like, calling him bro and sending him a WhatsApp and just being in the middle, like being so proactive in his kids' lives now, to a point where we were planning my daughter's birthday, the youngest one, and we all had lunch together. Him, his new girl, their kids, and my then partner and my kids. And, I felt very, I can't explain it, like I can't articulate myself, but I felt like I was being observed for his own purposes. Like, I don't know, maybe he was comparing the relationship or seeing whether I'm really happy or trying to discredit it. But it was not genuine. It was not a genuine engagement or interaction. And my little one was really close to the person that I met. And he didn't like that because, he wanted to be their favorite father, so to speak. And at some point, when my kids would go there, he would ask for my partner's number, mom's number. Like, what do you want to do with his mom's number? Like, why are you so invested in my life? So I used to be afraid in the early days when I left. But now I'm so over it. Like, if anything happens to me, then obviously he's the first person that should be investigated.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
true.
But I would advise women not to live in fear because that's exactly what they want. I've lived in fear my whole life being with him. And I always was made to feel like I'm doing something wrong. And now I just live my best life. Like, I do whatever I want. I have fun. I I go to places that I would have never went to if I was with him. And life is meant to be lived, not just exist. You need to live life and you need to seize the opportunity whenever you get one.
We cannot be having men doing what your ex-husband has done to you. You deserve to be free. You deserve to express yourself. You are young. You are beautiful. Even if he's not there in your life, you will still find somebody. And I can't imagine if you find somebody who's wanting to marry you, put you in that white dress. Surely he's probably gonna find the wedding venue and and I mean, like, come to think of it, because
I've lost many opportunities at love because of everything I went through. And I try not to really open up much about the abuse, not to protect him in any way. It's good to speak about it like the way
yeah,
we're doing it now,
yeah,
to educate women
yeah,
and for, what's the word? Um, I can't think of the word now, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So it's not to slander him in any way, but I feel like when you end the silence, you end the violence, because the more you speak out about it, the more women can identify with the red flags and say, "Hey, I'm also going through that," and the fact of the matter is they never change. So this idea that we have as women that they one day going to change, it's not happening. The fact that you are going through abuse means you need to get out as early as possible, because it only gets worse. And when you meet someone, I wouldn't say man, let me not generalize, or let me not make it about gender. When you meet someone, the best of that person is the beginning.
Mm.
So if the beginning is already bad, can you imagine as you progress to the latter parts of the relationship, it only gets worse, it only down spirals. So yeah, I think me speaking out is to create awareness and to help other women see that you can make a life after abuse. I left with nothing, I left with everything, but the fact of the matter is leave and stay gone. So coming back to your question about me, getting married again and him probably trying to stop the wedding,
Yeah.
I I would not put out that information. I would only post maybe a year later. And I don't know, like at this point, it really doesn't bother me how he would take it, because
Mm,
no matter how many times you read a book, the ending remains the same. So we are done. We've been done.
mm,
So whatever he concludes in his mind, it's his problem.
mm. Just in closing, there's a woman who's watching this video and they're in a similar situation that you are in.
Yeah.
They don't know how to leave. They're still stuck with the mindset of, I love this man. How do they break or cut the baton of this abusive relationship?
So to the woman that's watching, and if you're one of the victims, and I try not to use the word victims because I'm a survivor
Yeah.
and you can be too, leave. Leave. It's going to be hard. Leave anyway. Go to a woman's shelter. Things don't remain the same. Storms come to pass. And a lot of the times, I know that you're isolated. There's no family, there's no community, there's no help. You probably don't even have finances to leave because they isolate you to a point where you don't even have a job. But leave. The moment you leave is when things start to change, is when doors start to open. And being a prayerful woman, pray. When you speak to God, He hears you and He will make a way for you. And I know that sounds cliche, but it's true. A lot of the survivors, their success stories is solely based on God making a way for them and coming through for them. And it's not love. You trauma bonded. They're never going to change. And you don't want to be one of the statistics. So leave while you still can and stay gone.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you get to be safe. I don't think you're entirely safe, but by the grace of God, I believe that He will protect you.
Thank you.
If this thing is a spiritual entity that is trying to attack you or to stop you from succeeding, may it never succeed, and may you continue to be protected by the Most High God.
Thank you. Amen. Amen to that.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.